what I think everyone needs to understand about my opinion on India is that I want my team, my World War III team, to be that dominant. And there are 1.3 billion people in India, and there are 1.5 billion people in China, and I'm only going to pick one country that's that big to be a part of my coalition, and the last country I'd pick is India. So I realize that everyone likes Indians because they sure have made it to the top of our government and our corporations, and they sure start a lot of tech companies, or they are involved with a lot of tech companies in the United States. But I want the best team possible, and there is no comparison between India and China. And also, I'm pretty sure there are more Chinese people in the United States than Indians. And so that makes it easier for us to have a coalition with them, because I want to keep Americans happy when I make this coalition. So I'm sure everyone's thinking, well, Israel has this incredibly smart population per capita. Why don't you want Israel on your team? And the thing is, I don't want assholes on my team. And Israel has elected Netanyahu how many times? Like 7, 8 times. Like, they consistently pick this guy who's straight up an asshole. And at some point it's like, well, you're smart, but you're a piece of shit. So, like, do I care if you're smart if you're a piece of shit? And that's the thing about Israel is I don't want them on my team. I'm sure you guys are going, wait, I thought that you want the Palestinians on your team. Actually, if you look at my list, Palestine's not on my list. You know why? Because they're a bunch of religious nuts. And I don't want a bunch of religious nuts on my team. I saw recently that a court in Hamas court decided that women aren't allowed to leave the country without escorts or something like that. So what I'm trying to tell you is there's a reason I don't want Palestine on my side. It's because they're a bunch of assholes. They're not even that big of assholes compared to the Israelis. The Israelis are actually assholes, even though they're smart. The Palestinians are just hateful because of their religion. And so that's why I don't want them on my team, which brings me to the Philippines, which Duterte is basically telling the United States military he wants $16 billion or something like that. I don't know the exact figure, in order to keep our troops in the Philippines. And the reality is that the Philippines does not have to be on my team. I have a special thing about the Philippines because when I was growing up, a Filipino woman was kind of she kind of took care of my grandmother, and my grandmother kind of took care of her. And she was always so sweet to me. But then, like, now she's a religious nut who posted something about killing all the non-believers. She's afraid she's about to get deported from the United States, and so she posted a Bible verse about killing all the non-believers. And I feel like the Philippines is a bunch of religious nuts, and I feel like it wouldn't be that hard to kill the Philippines, and that's why it's kind of difficult to not just kill them. And that's the thing about, okay, so if our troops are going to get kicked out of the Philippines and it's a strategic location, then I think we should just go to war with the Philippines. And that's my opinion on it. And I realize a lot of people have different opinions. They think, no, we should lose a very important foothold in Asia. And it's like, well, we're already there. All we have to do is bomb enough to make sure they can't access our military bases. And straight up, Duterte is an asshole. So do we really need the Philippines on our team? That's a massive population that we can replace with smaller countries. And if we replace them with smaller countries, then we'd have more ethnic diversity in our coalition. Because if you look at my coalition, I have a bunch of small countries, and I'm all about, like, not committing genocide. And if there's any country you can't commit genocide against, it's India. You can kill a ton of them, and there are still going to be 300 million of them. And so, like, I'm not worried about killing all the Indians. The reality is I'm not planning on going to war with them, but I feel like they're going to go to war with us if they get their oil supply cut off, because if they get their oil supply cut off, they're not going to be able to survive. I mean, that's the reality of World War III is I don't try to go to war with you, but then you have to go to war with me, but then my coalition's so strong that when you go to war with me, you get your ass kicked. And the fact of the matter is, India, you have to understand, I keep saying India sucks, but have you ever seen the difference between India's best skylines and China's best skylines. I'm talking about the skyscrapers they built. China builds these incredible buildings. They built these beautiful downtown areas. India doesn't. India builds shit areas. They have slums everywhere. They don't take care of their own population. They're extremely sexist. Women have serious persecution problems in India. Indians haven't been nice to Muslims in the past, and so there've been incredible persecutions of Muslims. And all I'm saying is India is not like you think it is. If you're a Hindu person that loves the Hindu religion, it's just not. So, this brings me to my final point. I want to start a news channel that's not a bunch of little babies, and it's not a bunch of like stupid shit. Which Fox News is the only channel where they can say offensive stuff, and they're also the only channel that's completely like that full of shit. And then like MSNBC just annoys the shit out of me every time I watch it. CNN is finally the channel that I'm on now because I don't like anyone, and CNN kind of doesn't like anyone. But at the same time, CNN is a bunch of babies. So I want Kat Tiff to come work with me. She'd be like our head anchor person, and I think we should get Bret Baier to come join because Bret Baier quit. And if Bret Baier is available, I know everyone's going, why are you picking a bunch of Fox News people? Because number one, Kat Tiff is the funniest person of any news person on TV, and Bret Baier is a person that doesn't piss me off. And Brian Williams wasn't that bad, and he worked for MSNBC. I feel like MSNBC is like every time I get on there, racism. All I want to talk about is racism all day long. So our channel is not going to talk about racism. Our channel would talk about the news. We'd probably have 2 news shows a day. We could have Bret Baier and then Kat Tiff and I making jokes, and then we should get the Wachowskis to come join us because I don't think they're doing anything right now, and they could get a camera that doesn't suck, and they could help design an incredible set that would be way better than any other news channel, and then that would be like the beginning of a news channel that's actually good. And I mean, we should also hire someone that's better than animation than me because I want to start a media company that does educational programming. So the great new thing about starting a media company is that you can do it online nowadays. You can have all your videos online, and we could also sell to streaming networks. And so I'm just saying, I don't know if it's possible to get Kat Tiff working for me or working with me. I know that Bret Baier is definitely available. I know the Wachowskis don't want to work at all, but I want them to come work with me. Because we have to start a military propaganda channel that convinces everyone to go to war. I know you guys don't believe me that I know I said that I was told in September that COVID-19 was going to be released. It was October because I left Colorado like September 22nd, and it must have been October, but it might have been the end of September when I was told that a biological weapon was about to be released. And I'm sure that everyone thinks that I'm a crazy person because that's what the FBI wants to make you believe, because the FBI wants to convince you that they're not evil. The FBI, like, the reality is, I feel like anybody can be evil when they're that frustrated because they couldn't bust us. Because, like, clearly I wasn't involved with drug trafficking. All I did was have a father that was suspected of drug trafficking. And so they couldn't bust me because I wasn't doing anything illegal. But they were convinced that I was, so they did all this horrible shit to me. And what I'm telling you is they do horrible stuff to a lot of people. And that's the other thing. Like, if we're not on like cable TV, which it'd be nice if we could get on cable TV, if we could go talk Oprah into putting us in a slot. If we're not on cable TV, we can say bad words and stuff like that. So that'd be great. We don't have to though. Anyways, yeah. So who wants to start a news channel with me? Comment on my post, or go talk to a chief of police somewhere around here and see if you can get my address, and send me a letter, and I'll get back to you, and we can start a news channel together.